Hello, Super Coaches. The teams are in for round 2. Plenty to talk about, as there always is. But we'll start with a little bit of gloating from Wilson Smith and Jett Hatton, who are both flying. I'll start with you, Wilso.
Oh, I was pretty happy with it. It was my best ever round 1 finish, I think. I scored 15.25 for the 408th best rank, which definitely not sustainable, but it's good start. And I also got big wins in all 3 of my draft leagues as well, so just on top of the world. On top of the world, and Jett Hatton, you're pretty pumped up too.
Yeah, man, I'm flying. I come in here thinking this morning that I was definitely going to have the highest rank of the team, but no, Wilso just pipped me by 4 points. So 15-2-1, ranked 458. So like Wilso, it's probably my best ever round 1. And you know, I've always said if you're not in the top 500 after round 1, you should delete the app. So.
well. Currently 18,000th, which is okay. I'm a team. My team balance is all pretty good. I'm relatively happy with a couple of cheapies that I'm going to bring in this week that I missed out on, that a lot of people missed out on, like Noah Martin, for example. But still relatively happy. If I didn't have Scott Drinkwater at fullback, I bought him. I thought the reasoning behind that was pretty good. If I didn't have him and had Ponga, for example, it would have been a whole lot different. So relatively happy with where I'm sitting for now. Teams are in. What's your big takeaway from today's teams?
Big takeaway, you just mentioned him, Noah Martin, again named to start for the Raiders, which is not that surprising given how well he played. But I think the big takeaway is that Matty Nicholson got re-injured his shoulder in New South Wales Cup, and I was not into Noah Martin before last week, and just because I thought it was, you know, Matty Nicholson would be back in a week or two and he'd be to the bench or out of the team. But now that Nicholson's injured again, I'm very interested in Noah Martin and kind of kicked myself that I didn't start with him, but I still think that the logic for not starting with him was sound.
Well, the job security is good, as you say, with the Matty Nicholson injury. Plus, Ricky Stewart in the press conference says that he was ahead. He had a superior preseason to Matty Nicholson anyway. Plus, then you've got Zach Hosking, who they look set to use in the middle rotation. Doesn't look like he's going to play much edge at all. A little bit of an issue surrounding Simi Sasangi and whether he would come and spell Noah Martin from the bench. Timiko's back on the bench too. So a few moving parts, but I think Noah Martin was just so good in round 1. I think he's locked in for 80 minutes, got the 48 tackles with no misses. And Jett Hatton has come celebrating with modelling Noah Martin's haircut as well.
Yeah, I tell you that. I thought I'd go down and get a little haircut on Monday down at Crown Street Barbers. They sorted me out. But yeah, he's coming into my team, so we'll look the same there on the weekend.
What's your big takeaway?
To me, it was a tame teamless Tuesday. There wasn't much that really surprised me at all, but I'll just say Arama Howe retains his spot in the back row. Patton's still named in the extended bench, so I think that's a win for all owners. He looked great on the weekend, so hopefully some cash incoming. 57
points, but played the full 80 minutes. The Titans got absolutely smashed, so a lot of their stats were down. Tino was way down, for example, but Arama Howe still managing to get 57 points, pretty much all in base.
He nearly scored like 3 times too. Like there was a kick that he nearly went through. Like he looked really impressive. So yeah, he's someone I'll think of playing most weeks after seeing him.
So if you missed out on him, would you jump the gun on him this week? Noting, if you are new to SuperCoach, player prices don't change until after 2 games. So next week, you could get Arama Howe or Noah Martin for exactly the same price. It is safer to wait, but you also only have 4 trades this week and next week, 6 if you boost on both of them, and you're probably going to want to use a lot of those because a lot of these cheapies this year are low ownership. A lot of people missed out on them, like Howe and like Noah Martin. So would you jump the gun on Arama Howe this week?
If you don't have Martin or Howe, I'd trade in one of them just because a lot of people don't trade round 2 just because there's no point really unless you need to fix up some mistakes. But it just saves us that extra trade to use next week. So I'd definitely trade in one of them. If I had to pick, it'd be Noah Martin.
Yep.
But yeah, I'd trade this week.
My big takeaway is Hamasi Makasini named. We all took the punt on him with the round 1 bye. Thankfully, he's been named there. 64% of super coaches have him, so good that he is there. But it's not on the wing like we were expecting. Stafford Toa is injured for a couple of weeks. Still not sure what the exact injury is. But Makasini will be playing left centre. It's much of a muchness, really. He scored tries at Sanders. He scored tries on the wing during the trials as well. I don't think it matters that much. Base stats are probably slightly down, maybe more when he's playing at centre, but maybe more chance for try assists. Much of a muchness. I'm going to put him in my 18 this week up against the Cowboys. I think it's a good matchup.
Yeah, I really liked him outside Talamay, so it does sting that he's playing centre. Centre, but the fact that Luke Lowlee's on the wing gives us a bit of confidence that he'll be back on the wing when all the team's healthy. So Skelton's on the extended bench there. Yeah,
definitely. I'm very keen on him. I'll be starting him this week as well.
Some other big storylines out of the teams. Moses Leo, of course, retains his spot there at the Storm. He just looked so good on the weekend. He's a tackle buster. The work rate's pretty good too. He would have got around almost 50 without the tries and the line breaks. Playing for the Storm, who are probably the best attacking team in the competition. I think he's an absolute must. Only in 24% of teams. I thought he would be way higher up the most purchased list this week.
Yeah, I started with him and I was glad that I did because it saves a trade, because I agree. I do think he's also an absolute must. Job security is good with Xavier Coates out for up to 10 weeks. So he looked really good at centre for Storm, and I think it's another good matchup this week against the Dragons. So
yes. You shouldn't say that, but yeah, it's true. Great defensively in round one, I'll point out.
But yeah, I'm really into him, and I'll be, I think I'll just be starting him for as long as he's in the starting side for Storm.
Yeah, one of the big issues with him was whether Zach Lomax would just strike a deal with the Storm at any point. News yesterday, was that Zach Lomax has signed with Super Rugby, so that's not going to happen. Happy days.
Yeah, I don't have him in my team, so I don't think he's a must because I don't know who I can trade to get him in. So I've got Carraz, Herbie Farnworth, Latrell Mitchell, and then I've got Baymani, Macassini, Tom Chester to fill it all out. So who do I move on for that? And I've got Walsh, Ponga, and Kinney in my flex to move around. So
you wouldn't move on a gun.
You wouldn't move on any.
And you've already got the rest of the cheapies. So it's a bit of a dilemma. But
so is he a must if you can't get him in? He's obviously a fantastic player, and it sucks not being able to get him, but I just can't.
Yeah, I suppose you can wait a week, and if it looks like one of those other centre wing cheapies,
that's what I'm hoping
tanks,
for, really.
then you can move on. So maybe not a must this week, but definitely in the next couple of weeks, I reckon.
I know this is not an issue for you, Jett, given that you've got Reece Walsh, Kinney, and
I don't have Reece
Ponga.
Walsh. I don't have Walsh.
Pong. You got Ponga at fullback, which you keep gloating about. But the big dilemma for me this week is whether to sell Scott Drinkwater. About half of the people who own Drinkwater have already sold him. So a lot of people are off, but he has been named. Word from Matt Elkerton, who's our reporter, up there in Townsville, is that he is good to go for round one. Might need an injection, we're not sure. Either way, Scott Drinkwater will play, but the trade down to Ponga frees up about 200k, or you could go to Farlonga if you don't own him, which you could spend elsewhere, and I really like the sound of that. But we were chatting just before, Drinkwater's run is so good. He's got the Tigers this week, who he scored 2 tons against in his last 3. Then he has the Titans the week after that. He scored 3 consecutive tons against the Titans. What would you do? What are you recommending for Scott Drinkwater?
I scoff the idea of selling him if I had him. I just think it's so silly. He could go 150 against any team in the comp, especially the Tigers and the Titans. You went with Scott Drinkwater for a reason before the season started. You didn't go with Kalen Ponga, who was 200k cheaper. You're saying, but it saves me 200k. You should have just done it then. It just. I'm a stubborn Supercoach player, and you picked him for a reason. You should stick to your thoughts, and he'll reward you because he's one of the best players in Supercoach, and he has been for a very long time.
We were chatting off air before. He didn't kick goals on the weekend. I'm assuming that was because of the rib injury, but does that continue going forward? If he's still carrying this rib injury this weekend, does that mean Clifford kicks again?
Yeah, I had a quick look at the minutes, and I'm pretty sure their first try came after he was already off the field, so it makes sense that he missed that one. But then I think their next 2 shots at goal, Clifford took when he was back on the field, so a little bit alarming, but I reckon you're probably right. It probably was just that he was nursing that injury and just didn't want to aggravate it. So anyone who's sitting on the fence about trading him in the next couple of weeks, I think we'll have to see him kicking goals this weekend. Otherwise, I definitely understand the temptation to sell, but I think I'm on team hold as well.
The other big thing out of the teams, Jacob Laban, look, he has been named to start, but he did only get 46 minutes last week. He's got Leka Halasima to compete with for minutes, plus Murata Niokore named on the extended bench. He's aiming to return from a calf injury. He played a lot on that edge last year. So I think Laban is a sell. I own him. He's gone for me. It's pretty easy. Him to Noel Martin.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. He was a reluctant inclusion in my starting team, which I wasn't super thrilled about, but I needed it to fund other moves, and I didn't want to start with Noel Martin. But with the gift of hindsight, I should have just started with Martin, and I'm going to trade Laban out this week and bring Martin in.
I think the other big question facing Supercoaches this week is Daniel Atkinson to Ethan Sanders. Do you pull the trigger on that trade this week? I'm thinking I want to have another look at both of them this round to see how it unfolds. Obviously, Atkinson was okay in that Vegas game, but only 32 points, whereas Sanders just went gangbusters with 90-odd points, match-winning display with the field goal and golden point as well. So, sorry to mention it in front of a Seagulls
trauma.
fan. So, look, it looks like it will be a goer of a trade next week to be going Atkinson to Sanders. But, it's I'm certainly going to wait for a week on that one.
I'm pretty keen to hold Atkinson. He got a lot of touches in the footy at Vegas. Sanders looked awesome, but he played Manly, who I think are going to win the spoon this year. Sorry, Wilso. But I just think, like, the team he played aren't a defensive, juggernaut. He went straight through on one of those tries. I was keen on Atkinson the whole way through. I'm just going to stick with him, and hopefully everyone moves off and Sanders goes low and Atkinson booms over the next few weeks. Yeah,
I definitely want to wait another week just to have another look, because I wasn't super sold on Sanders heading into the season. He looked really good. Admittedly, yeah, you're right, Manly played really bad and somehow we had the lead at halftime despite playing terribly anyway. But yeah, I definitely want to wait another week and see. But if Sanders has another big game, he's playing the Warriors this week, which is a much tougher matchup for him. If he can come up with another big score against the Wars, I will basically lock in Atkinson to him. But I am expecting a much quieter performance from him this week, so I'm going to hold off another week.
Supercoach Plus, you've got a free trial right now that ends at the end of this week. So I suggest you get in there, fiddle around with everything. When Supercoach opens up from lockout on Monday, Supercoach Plus won't be there for you. You'll have to pay $29.95 for the year. So just have a play around with it. I think the best part for now is going to the players section. Over on the right-hand side, you can see the most popular trades for the week. That's always a great guide for everyone. I like seeing the most popular captains as well. And you can sort that by players in the top 10% of Supercoach, 1% of Supercoach, 5% of Supercoaches, all Supercoaches. So many different filters that you can use there. So just dive in, have a look, because on Monday, if you haven't paid up, it will not be there for you. On to Brisbane Broncos with Parramatta Eels. Ben Hunt, they've switched him up. He's back. He's on the bench this week. They've switched that back. Reece Walsh is probably the big question for Supercoaches, though. 10th most sold player. That makes no sense to me. Kind of on the same vein as the Drinkwater deal before. You bought Reece Walsh for a reason.
Yeah, it's definitely jumping the gun too early on getting rid of him. We all know that. I think people who bought him, you had to go in with the understanding that his ceiling is insanely high, but he's not the most consistent fullback option. So you've got to, if you knew that heading in, you have to be willing to take those bad scores when they come. But in saying that, the Broncos were ridiculously bad, and I expect them to be much better this week. And it's a much better matchup as well. So, he did badly last week, but he could very easily crack the ton this week. So I would not be trading him out at all.
Yeah, me too. He did bad, but he scored 34 points in a team that scored 0. So I thought he was awesome. It's the same thoughts that I have with Drinkwater, and this week he's up against a team that just conceded 50 points and still far longer went bonkers and turned up. So he could definitely do that.
On to the Eels. So Jonah Pezzett, 5th most popular sell. My thoughts here are he was playing the Storm. They had absolutely nothing going for them. Only 17 points, but I'm going to give him another chance because they won't be playing the Storm every week. But then I look at Jonah Pezzett at 235. Cody Walker, only 299. It's not much to go from Pezzett to... Sorry, 399. Yeah. It's not that much to go up to him.
Yeah, I would be holding on for at least another week and hoping he has a better score this week. I think you wrote it in your team's analysis that he's still going to make money. It's just going to be a much slower burn now. So I'd be tempted to just hold, but if he comes up with another stinker, I would be looking at ways to free up some cash and upgrade him to Cody Walker next week. But for now, just hold him.
What about Mitchell Moses? Is he forgiven given that they were playing the Storm last week?
Yeah, I thought he was good. I thought he was good in a side that, was completely outclassed. Their run, we all knew their run was tough, so people selling him after a bad game is just silly because you bought him knowing that he had a tough run, but he was underpriced. So, he's fine. He's fine. I wouldn't be selling him.
On to Jermaine Hopgood. I think he is a sell. He copped that sin bin. Still came on and made 46 tackles, but there wasn't much attack in there. There was only one offload, I believe, and then he's suspended for this week. So I think if you started with Hopgood, it is a reluctant sell. On to the Warriors, who were a bit of a surprise packet in round one. I mentioned Jacob Laban. He is the second most popular sell this week, and I think we all agree. Tanner Boyd. Now, I was reading Max Bryden's draft waiver wire piece this week. He's got Tanner Boyd right up there with the top waiver prospects for this round. What are your thoughts? Because he's got, 6 more weeks in that team until Metcalf comes back. He may even play so well that he earns the 5'8" spot or halfback spot or however it works out, even when Metcalf is back in that team.
Yeah, definitely if he's available in your draft league, you should be going out of your way to get him. I think, depending on where you were in the draft, you probably got a better halfback on paper, but, he could very well be worth starting over your mid-range or gun halfback, depending on matchups over the next month or so. But if not, they're early on in the round, you could just keep him on your bench and try and auto-emergency loop him or something like that. I know someone I played in draft last week had him, but also had someone else who scored lower, so he couldn't auto-emergency him. He was spewing.
I am thinking of doing exactly that this week. I've got 4 Bulldogs in my team and they're on the bye, so I'm going to rely on my auto emergency this week. Not that I want to give too much away to my guys who I play against in my draft, who I know watch the show. Raiders, so Noah Martin, Ethan Sanders are the 2 guys there, but I think we've probably talked those guys to death. On to the Chooks. Now, Blake Steep is out for me. We both got on Blake Steep as the pod. He's back to the bench this week. Just couldn't get the minutes. Spencer Leniu got injured in the pre-game, which completely threw out their rotations. I don't know what happened, but Blake Steep didn't get the minutes, so he's gone to Noah Martin. And then Nat Butcher, who was really keen on as a mid-ranger, scored 72 in base, 57 tackles off the top of my head, but he's been benched with Siwa Wong starting. So I think the moral of the story here is to avoid all players in the Roosters forward pack.
Yeah, I agree. I put my hand up and got that Blake Steep one wrong. I thought he was going to get 50 to 55 minutes, but just well out of that. He did look good when he played, but just didn't get the minutes. And tough with Nat Butcher. My mate Simon went him and he was stoked after he got 72 in pure base, and now he's been relegated to the bench, so that's unlucky, but yeah.
Yeah, in one of my draft leagues, someone in waivers dropped Sia Wong to get Nat Butcher and then has already tried to change it again. So, just a lot of uncertainty there. I was sort of expecting Sia Wong to start the year and Butcher to come off the bench, but then that didn't work out. And yeah, I definitely agree. You can just avoid Roosters forwards.
It's the big foundation rivalry up against the Rabbitohs. So Cody Walker, 8th most purchased player. You're a happy owner. Mm-hmm. Don't have him. He was he was good on the weekend. He had a try disallowed where his boot just shaved the sideline as well. So could have been a fair bit better for him. But one of those try assists was basically all Latrell, to be honest. But let's not talk about scoring system. Cody Walker, you must be pretty happy.
Yeah, he's flying. I think he looks like the number 1 option in that position, just the way he looked on the weekend. The options outside of him, he's, obviously not going to play the Dolphins every week and get that matchup with Jake Averillo and the centres, but he just looked awesome, and that 40-20 kick was probably one of the best 40-20s I've ever seen, and kept kicking it into the goal, to get those repeat sets. So yeah, he looked awesome.
Yeah, I was sad that I missed him, but I have Munster, who still scored 80 points. So I was still pretty happy with that. But like I was saying before, if Pezzett has another bad score this week, I'll be looking at ways to try and upgrade him to Cody Walker. But it is a tougher matchup for him this week.
Latrell looked pretty good too. Also had a try disallowed rightly for a ball that hit his shoulder and got ruled a knock on. So, look, I mean, if you missed out on him, you could go there, but there are a lot of cheapies at centre wing. I'd probably be preferring someone like Moses Leo. The guy I think I was most impressed with was Keon Kaloa-Matangi. I looked at their bench last week and thought, geez, there's no one big on this bench at all. There's not really any middles. And Marmazelos ended up playing. Plus, they had to bring on Jaden Sullivan as well. So that was really small bench last week. He's named a pretty small bench again, even though Ashton Ward's out, so Sullivan's now starting. But I think Keon Kaloa-Matangi should be looking at around that 70-minute mark most weeks. I'm a really happy owner, and I think you could almost go over your way to buy him as well.
Yeah, no, I started with him as well, and I was really happy with him. You know, he didn't do anything crazy. He just was out there for ages making heaps of tackles. So, and I think the fact that he's leaving next year, I think the Rabbitohs are just going to try and milk every single minute out of him that they can.
Completely ruin him before he comes to the Dragons.
Yeah, if they play him for 70 minutes every week, I will be absolutely cheering.
Yeah, I don't have him, and he just looked awesome. Definitely could buy him.
Yeah.
Definitely could buy him.
West Tigers, we mentioned before, Macassini is in at centre. Adam Dewey. If you didn't go with Mitchell Moses, I think Adam Dewey's a sneaky good purchase. His record at halfback is really good.
What, people are buying him?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just start with him if you buy him?
Sorry, I mean people have started with him
people started him,
got through this.
That's I like that. I wanted to do it, but I just couldn't fit him in. I think the Tigers are going to have a really big year, and it's going to coincide with Dewey at 7. Always, he's such a better Supercoach player at 7 compared to when he plays in the centres. So whoever started with him, good job. I think he's going to have a big year. Yeah,
I didn't want to start with him. I just didn't like the risk of not having a guy there for round 1. But I don't hate it at all. And everyone who started with him, very, very brave. And I think it will pay off for them.
Yeah.
At the Cowboys, Helam Lukey is a guy I'm really keen on. Obviously got that try in round 1, which boosted his score up into the mid-90s. Take that try out, he's still scoring 60s. For an edge-back rower, that's really good, and it's pretty much keeper territory. So I know I've mentioned 2 trades before. I got one of them wrong. One of them will be Blake Steep to Helam Lukey, who I really like.
Yeah, that looks like a good trade. He looks like a season keeper, just the way he played in Vegas. Always had that big upside, and we know he can get injured, so that's the only thing that looms over him. But if he stays healthy all year, he's gonna be an awesome player for us.
Yeah, I chopped and changed with my forward pack heaps throughout the whole preseason, but Helam Lukey was someone I don't think I ever traded him out. He had such good preseason, and looks like that's carried into the regular season now. Even though the Cowboys were pretty mixed, I think he looked really, really solid. So yeah, I'm really happy with him.
Obviously, Tom Chester was really good in base stats in that opening game too. So I think he probably will be a must, but if you missed out, just wait until next week because Zach Laban will be back from suspension and we will see if Tom Chester wins that spot ahead of him. I think just going on the eye test, Chester will retain that spot, but there's no need to take that risk this week. Onto the Dragons v. the Storm. So was chat around that Jacob Little will be back, but that hasn't happened. I think the big talking point here is Ryan Couchman. He's the 7th most popular purchase this week, 70-odd points in round 1. The rotations were completely out of whack because Moses Sully got a concussion, which meant that Fee and I had to come on. There was Setu 2 had cramps during the game as well. There was 90 minutes in the match, which we just got 10 extra minutes out of nowhere because of golden points. So I'm not going anywhere near Ryan Couchman this week, but if he can produce even somewhere near what he did in Vegas this round, then he will be one of the most purchased players for next week. But I don't understand why he's the 7th most purchased player this week.
Yeah, he's a wait and see for me. Definitely a pick up in draft. I'd take the risk in draft if he's there. But yeah, just a wait and see how the minutes all go with him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the score was inflated. He's playing off the bench. So, there's a very real chance that he gets far fewer minutes this week and only scores 30, 40 points. So I would definitely be waiting and seeing.
At the Storm, Harry Grant has been named, so it was a bit of a weird few moments with him where he went down with what looked like an ankle injury. Joey Johns he's done a syndesmosis. Dr. Joey was going nuts. And then they're like, oh no, it's a hamstring injury. And then eventually the club says, oh no, it's just cramp. He's fine. So he has been named. Looks like he will play. Good news for super coaches there. Moses Leo, we think, is a must. Su'afa'alongo, is he? Do you reckon he is an absolute must?
I love Sua so much.
Yeah.
Oh.
The chip and chase try on the weekend.
He's just so fun to watch. He's not a must. He was on 21 at half time.
Yeah.
So I was sitting there playing him going, oh, geez, he's not going to score that well here. And then he just does what Su'afa'alongo does and just went bonkers in the second half. If you're selling blokes like Walsh to him or Drinkwater, I wouldn't do it. So
yeah, no, definitely wouldn't do those trades. I don't think he's a must either, but I just think there's so many other trades you could be looking at, or just holding off on trading and waiting to see what these guys are actually going to do. But yeah, I don't think he's a must. But if you've got him, I wouldn't be going out of my way to sell him either.
One thing to point out as well with Adivalu Lasati, who's obviously a really popular cheapie there at the Storm. Sean Blore has been named in the extended squad. He's hoping to return from an ankle injury, so that could mean this is not mail. This is just me musing here. If Blore plays, he could start, so Lasati would probably go to lock, and then Kamakamika would go back to the bench. Still would get pretty good minutes at lock, but certainly wouldn't play the almost 80 minutes that he played on the weekend. Or Blore would play from the bench and spell Lasati at some stage. Either way, I think Lasati's minutes are going to come down this weekend. So if you didn't get him, I'd be waiting certainly till next week when Trent Liero is also back. But if you've got him in your team, was really good in that opening round. His work rate's ridiculous. Even without the try, he's scoring massive. So you've done well if you got on, but I think his minutes will reduce. So if you didn't get on, hold back, wait and see.
Yeah, definitely another one of those guys that could be a really good draft pickup, even if it is just for a week. I think he is a good pickup and definitely startable, but for Classic, you definitely just got to wait another week and see.
Cameron Munster had a pretty good rap on him after the game. He said he's had a massive preseason and he's pretty much won the spot ahead of Blore. From what he was saying, he said Blore was great for us last year, but Lasati's been awesome, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if he stayed there in the back row. But obviously his minutes will likely come down when Blore comes on. But geez, I don't own Lasati, but hearing what Cameron Munster had to say, it's got me intrigued, that's for sure.
That's interesting because he kind of suggested the opposite in the Levels podcast with Justin Horrow, which I watched just before the game. So, I don't know what's going on. He's also rocking the brand new teeth as well, Cameron Munster, which is sensational.
They're good with
been
his
to the
haircut
dentist.
too.
And the haircut. He's just looking great.
Yeah.
Penrith Panthers v the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks. It's out at Bathurst. Isaac Tungo missed the 18. He's in 18 rather, so he's missed the 17 yet again. So Tom Jenkins, if you're looking for a draft buy, what a purchase. A bloke who could probably average above 60, yet is barely owned in draft at all.
Yeah, job security is still not great because, Tungo could definitely come back into the squad late, but when he's on the field, he is an absolute gun. So, yeah, definitely worth a pickup in draft.
Tell you what, in our League of Legends draft league with, the Guru, Tim Williams, Bloke in a Bar, a couple of other guys, I may be pulling a little sneaky on Tom Jenkins. Just putting it out. I won my matchup against Max Bryden, and you won. Who did you beat?
You beat Tim Williams. I had the biggest score of the round of anyone in the league. So
top of the ladder, straight up. Isaiah Papali, is he? I actually didn't see the team. Is he starting again? He was named there.
I think he was starting.
On the weekend.
He was named there. I'm pretty sure.
Onto the Sharkies. What would you be doing with Jesse Colquhoun? So he scored 44. It's exactly what we were predicting in the preseason, that he would score mid-40s, which is enough to get some decent price rises. But with the good cheapies we've got floating around in Supercoach this year, I think I would be selling Colquhoun to someone else.
Yeah, it's tough. I stayed clear of him. I'm glad I did, so I don't have that problem. I'd find it hard selling him when he's scored above his break-even. Obviously, you might have a few other guys that you want to move on. So if you had like a Jacob Laban, a Blake Steep, I hope you don't have Blake Steep like me, but I'd move him down to Noel Martin, but yeah.
Yeah, I didn't start with him, but I ended up going with Laban over him just for a little bit of cash. And I think Laban's a sell, and I'd be very tempted to sell Colquhoun as well. But again, it depends on it. Like if you don't have Noah Martin, I would be tempted to move him down to Noah Martin. But otherwise, I think you can just wait, and he will make cash.
One thing I'll point out to if you're new to Supercoach, this is your first year, you watch Braden Trindle go out on the weekend. He scores 132 points. It's the top score of any Supercoach player on the weekend. And everyone goes, all right, I'm going to get Braden Trindle into my team. He's the 6th most popular player or something this week. Do not buy Braden Trindle. Last year, he had 6 scores under 30. He's never been a Supercoach player. He averaged 42 last year. He doesn't kick goals. I mean, that's a big advantage. When Nico's out, he does kick goals, and he can become a bit of a factor. But just don't go near Braden Trindle.
Yeah, no tricky Trindle. He's a great player, but just not a Supercoach relevant player.
Yeah.
Sea Eagles, have you got any...
Oh, you're not going to mention one Jesse Ramian?
I had him written down. I'm trying to get through it. And Hoheipapuru didn't get named.
Yeah, I know he didn't. But Jesse Ramian was someone I gave a shout out all preseason, and he scored 116. So congrats to anyone who got on.
He was in our tab multi last week.
Yeah, he was.
Well, which
he
got
was.
up.
Yep.
Got up. It was probably a bit too conservative in the end because I had him to score 1 try. He scored 2.
Yep.
And had the Sharks 13 plus, and they won by 40, whatever it was. On to the Sea Eagles. Any love for Tom Trbojevic? I know a lot of people are going Drinkwater to Ponga, but then you could go Drinkwater, Tom Trbojevic. And, I've got Ponga and Trbojevic in very similar categories in that they're absolute Supercoach greats who can barely play a game because they're injured all the time.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It depends on your team. Like if you've got Scott Drinkwater and you don't want to hold him, then there are guys you can sell him to, and Turbo could be decent. He scored well last week. He's got another good matchup this week, but there's just always so much uncertainty with Tommy Turbo. And if you were selling Sua Fa'alongo up to him, which I still wouldn't recommend, but I don't hate it, but I would be avoiding.
Yeah, he's a no for me. I bought him in and out about 6 times last year. He looked great. But he's got a bye next week as well.
Oh, yeah.
So he's got that as well looming over his head. So yeah.
Probably the best I've seen him in a while, to be honest. Probably equal to the best he produced last season. So it's good signs, but bye coming up. And I'm the same as you. I trade him in and out 3 times per year.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that.
He's getting injured at some point. We all know.
Good to see Paseka banging out 55 minutes and 63 points. So well done if you got on him as a cheapie. On to the Knights. Trey Mooney. Is he a must-have? He's got 95, 96, whatever it was in round 1. With the try, you take that try out, he's still scoring mid-60s. Is he a must? Yeah,
he's pretty close to it. Looked awesome. He's only going to get better in that team as he figures out their system. 440k. Perfect second front row next to Paynas. He's a yes for me.
Yeah, I've got him as he's one of my reserve front rowers. But I sort of have him in the same category as Halen Maluki, which is, guys that are going to be solid even if they don't score tries, but they've also got a ton of upside. So, I think he's very close to a must.
Fletcher Sharp is due to return next week for them after that PCL injury, which is good news for people who got on as a pod. On to the Finns. Herbie Farnworth got 75. Even you take out the try, because there was no line break with that try, he's still scoring high 50s. So that's why we pay him the big bucks. Flegler, 47 points. Kind of got him in a similar category to Jesse Colquhoun, where it's just enough to be getting price rises, but you could be getting a lot better price rises from someone like Joe Chan or Noah Martin or whoever it happens to be that you missed out on.
Yeah, I don't have Flegler for that reason, but even when he was at his peak, he'd score around 47 anyway, so it's not like this is surprising to anyone, really.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see as he is coming back from that injury, maybe his minutes will go up over the next few months, but I think he's one to avoid.
2 back rowers absolutely killed it on the weekend. Now, they do have a couple of forwards back into the team, so it makes job security tough. But Fini Fuiaki, bang, huge minutes. He's not noted for minutes. Gets 82 with a try. And then Connolly Lemu-Elu, who gets 76 all in base. Guys to look out for if you're looking for a bit of a dart throw in draft. Onto the Titans. Tino is a popular sell this week. look, I think he's a great of Supercoach. He's worth another week. But there is a little bit of writing on the wall here that he's moved to prop. He suddenly only got 49 minutes and for 44 points, I think it was. So the PPM's down, the minutes are down. You can forgive the PPM because he was spending a lot of time just standing under his goalposts. I think he's worth another week, but he is on thin ice.
Yeah, I think he is worth another week. It is worth to be noted that Josh Hannay comes through a system at Cronulla where they haven't had any big minute forwards. It's always been, a big bench, and their biggest minute forward would play 45, 50 minutes. So maybe he's just sort of taken the same approach with Gold Coast. Didn't seem to work too well for him on the weekend though, so maybe he gives Tino a bit more minutes because they needed him out there.
Yeah, I brought Tino into my team, into my flex, last minute, and was not happy with what I saw. He was actually my non-scoring player.
Really?
With 44. So,
yeah,
I was a bit surprised. I'm going to hold for another week just to wait and see. But if his minutes are that low again, I will probably move on the week after.
How's that for a humble brag, by the way?
Yeah.
That's my non-scoring player. Meanwhile, a lot of people I know, I certainly had Drinkwater as my non-scorer, and a lot of people had Reece Walsh as their non-scorer too. So on to Cooper Bye. So he's a really popular sell. We said it was going to be a slow burn. The minutes were going to be a bit of a worry to start the season. And as I've said with a lot of other cheapies, there are better cheapies out there. So I can get around selling Cooper Bye to Noah Martin or whichever cheapie you missed.
Yeah, definitely. I think you had to go in knowing that he was a low floor, high ceiling guy, and he's a back rower coming off the bench, which is always risky. But that being said, this is a much better matchup for him. The Dolphins' defense looked really bad last week, so maybe the Titans bounce back and look a little bit better this week. And he could be one of the guys that scores well.
Finally, onto the Dogs, who of course are on the bye, but in Vegas they showed some good signs. Particularly Carraz. Are you putting aside money to get Carraz in the next couple of weeks before round 4 would be when you can get him at the same price?
I will not be putting aside money for Carraz because he's in my team.
Yes.
So I'm a happy owner. Happy owner, so no.
I was a bit scared off just with all the uncertainty around him before round 1, but I wish I had just locked him in. He looked great, and I would very much like him in my team. I
just love that he's outside Stephen Crichton.
Yeah.
Crichton holds the ball. Like, the ball looks like a tennis ball in his left hand, and he just offloads it like that to Carraz. Like, what a spot to be.
Yeah.
He's going to get a lot more tries this year. He's not really noted for his tries. He's mostly noted for his work rate. The only downside I see is that there were those 10 extra minutes in that game, so his work rate is inflated. He still would have scored 90 easily, so I think he's a really good purchase. Any love for Stephen Crichton?
Nah. There's too many options at centre wing. Like, we were just talking about how I can't fit Moses Leo on my team. I can't fit Crichton in there either.
I like him, but I wouldn't have space for him, and there's other guys that I would like to get in over him.
Yep. Well, that is it for our Teams podcast round 2. We'll be back for the preview podcast tomorrow. See you then.